Hi friends, my name is Nathan, and I wanted to share more about the story of HACKVAN. So back in 2021, I was a little guy, university student, just really wanting to connect my employable skills, specifically web development skills and computer science degree that I was studying, with my passions. My passion to address poverty and to feed the hungry and to share my faith in Jesus Christ that has transformed my life. And so with this desire to bridge these two areas of my life, as well as to just do something new, to practice entrepreneurship, we started HACKVAN in 2021. That fall, these tensions were building up, and I learned about redemptive entrepreneurship. And they encouraged you, just go out and try to build something. Try to address the real problems you see through things that create value. And so I was at church one day, and I walked up to Mr. Ahmed of the House of Omid, and I asked him, like, hey, what is something you really want to do but don't have the capacity to do it? And he said without hesitating, an app that would allow their clients to order from the food bank before they had to come in. And so with that project prompt, we met a few more times, and we created some requirements, and we created our first hackathon. Now, a lot of other hackathons, they often will give you a theme, and they will say, hey, build something related to mental illness, or build something that will help fight human trafficking, or that will help save the climate, or things like that. But for our hackathon with HACKVAN has always been focused on specific projects, focusing on addressing real hard problems faced by established organizations. And so what that looks like is we will go up to organizations who have been involved in a program for a while, and then we'll ask, how can we help you grow your existing impact? How can we 5x? How can we 10x your food bank program, such as the House of Omid? How can we help you track statistics for reporting necessary for Mozambique egg farmers? And so we always try to root ourselves in existing projects, and the primary reason there being so that we have real life constraints, so that we're attacking real problems. This is highly inspired by the entrepreneurship mindset, which is technical people, such as myself, can often solve problems that no one is interested in. And so we want to work with existing organizations who have real constraints so that we build projects that at least fulfill the requirements of one organization. And with an entrepreneurship mindset, the idea is that if we address the problems for one organization, we could probably address it for 10 organizations or 100 organizations. But let's really focus on getting that one user, how can we really fulfill the needs of one person, of one entity, before we try to go beyond that? So that's one big thing. The other big thing is excellence. At the HACKVAN, we've always had a high value for excellence, and that has a few different dimensions to it. One of them is that we seek to do the best job we can given the constraints we face. And so the hackathon is only 48 hours, and so you can only do so much then. But then as we think about it, we realize, well, if the hackathon is only 48 hours, what can we do before the hackathon to make sure we get as best job that we can? And that will often involve a few preliminary meetings before the hackathon to really understand the requirements and the constraints of the project, so that we don't have to change so much during the hackathon. And so we will innovate our process or whatever to build the best prototype that we can by the end of the 48 hours. The second aspect is this idea of enduring craftsmanship. And so when we look at, say, the pyramids of Egypt, we will probably look at it and say, if we were trying to build a similar structure in 2025, we probably wouldn't do the same method. But we can still marvel at the craftsmanship that they did, because they did such an excellent job given the materials and the technologies they had at hand. And we can still see them today, which is mind-blowing. And so in a similar spirit, we want to build prototypes. We want to build MVPs that we can be proud of as we look back on the hack and back on the weekend, the next day, but also the next 10 days and the next year and the next 10 years, that we can look back on that weekend and say, yes, it was a rushed job, but even in the hustle, even in the pressure, we did an excellent job. Whether it was in design, whether it was in competitive research or product design or programming, selecting the tech stack, choosing the integrations, choosing which frameworks to use to save us times but while not losing too much flexibility. All of these things, we want to have a mindset where at the end of it, we can look back and say, wow, this was a job well done. And for those who come from a faith background, we can say, hey, we can look to our God and say, and look up to our God and trust that, yes, even according to our God's standards, it was a job that pleased Him. Another aspect of excellence is, there was one other thing. Maybe it'll come back to me. But yeah, so the first one is that we're project-oriented, not theme-oriented. We want to focus on specific projects, specific problems. We also want to be excellent. We want to do the best we can given the constraints we face. We want to do work that we'd be proud of 10 years from now. Or perhaps even 100 or 1,000 years, even after our lives pass. People could look back on our GitHub repository and say, wow, they did this in 48 hours. They were able to follow best practices in a pragmatic way that built this prototype, that created perhaps this startup that served so much people. We want to be excellent. The third aspect is humility. Humility comes from a few different things. One is there's humility in following best practices and saying, these practices, I know that this is the proper way to do things, and even though I don't feel like it, I'm going to continue to do it because I know that's the best thing to do. The other aspect of humility is getting involved in this hackathon primarily is getting involved in this hackathon to help other people. Yes, this hackathon will help advance your career, but that not being the primary motivation, rather to have these two simultaneous motivations of, yes, it will advance my career, but yes, it will also help serve people. And if you come from a faith background, it will also honor my God. And so it's about having these both and aspect of humility, of wanting to serve, but also recognizing that, yes, this is actually a valuable experience for my personal career. The third value is hope. And that is, we are involving ourselves in big, thorny, stubborn social problems. We're getting involved with poverty. We're getting involved with refugees. We're getting involved with international development, with vulnerable youth. We're getting involved with all these things. And it can feel at times that another tech prototype, another MVP is not going to do much in the grand scheme of things. But the perspective that we have as HACKVAN is that we are changing the world. whether we choose apathy or whether we choose to be proactive against these issues, we are changing the world. And so we at HACKVAN try to be intentional with the change that we are having on the world. And we say, hey, we have these skills and we don't know how they may be used in the grand scheme of things, but we're going to invest it. We're going to be specific. We're going to focus on a very small scope. And we're going to try to solve it in that specific scope. And who knows, God willing, that scope could potentially grow and it could serve in other contexts and to other people. And even if it doesn't, we'll know that we have done our best job using our skills, using all of our brain, not allowing pride or ego to come in saying, oh, look at us, we're doing such a great job with such a selfless, altruistic motivations. No, we are doing this because we actually think using the technical and the soft and the hard skills that we've accumulated, we think this is actually pushing the needle forward. And so we engage with projects involving poverty. We engage in projects involving people's personal finances and with helping nonprofits raise money and different things. We engage in these things with the belief that we will and that we can change the world for good. And so yeah, those are the 4 values that I think steer the HACKVAN. The goal every time we get together is to do excellent work that addresses real problems facing our local context. In the name of Jesus. Yeah. Yep. That's the video. I might need to record this again if I'm going to post it beyond to one person, but we shall see. Okay. Bye for now.